Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back once again, or for the very first time, to the Farts and Crep Show, where today, as per usual, it's your host, Anjo, here with part 168, I believe, of Tears of the Kingdom. My 3-heart run was a 4-heart run. Hope you guys are all doing well today. And on today's episode, we are going to be doing some stuff and some things, but mostly some stuff. Kinda just wanted to double check my work here. And it's mostly fine. Yeah, it's mostly good. It's been a little bit since I've recorded for this series. Just kind of like cleaning off my controller a little bit. Because, as you guys may know by this point, if this is not your first time here, you've maybe been here a little bit. I'm a big fan of the 8BitDo Pro 2. It's like pretty much... Whoops. That's fine. It's fine. It's pretty much my favorite controller family of controllers, I would say. And once upon a time, I'm gonna have a bunch of inputs that don't mean anything. Once upon a time, little Danjo story time. It's not gonna be a fanciful tale of magic and mystery though. But yeah, once I was once there was a boy who got fed up with Nintendo and he couldn't go to school and... Anyway, it's the... Who is that again? Crash Test Dummies, I think? And when he finally decided... Yeah, there are... Yeah, once upon a time, my, man, what did I used to use before this? Because, like, I never got, like, a Nintendo Switch, like, Pro controller, like, their first-party one. I think before this... Oh, yeah, I was using the progenitor to this controller. So before 8BitDo came out with the Pro 2, they've been refining the design for a very long time. Like one of their first popular controllers, I'm not sure about first, but one of their first popular controllers was the SF30. And I think that's all it was called. But yeah, it was a pretty standard third-party Bluetooth controller that just looked like a Super Nintendo controller, basically. And some people loved it because, like, they were kind of the first ones to come out with a new controller that was very faithful to, like, the original design, and people were fans of, like, the D-pad and the fact that it had, like, all the inputs they needed, even for, like, modern games. And yeah, eventually when they put handles on the controller and it started to look more like Blood Moon? No, it's just morning. When it started to look more like the Pro 2, they called it the SN30 Pro Plus. And I was all about that shiz because I was like, oh, dude, that's essentially the same like design logic that went into creating the original like PlayStation controller, because it was just based off of the Super Nintendo controller, but like with handles and like yeah, I'm seeing a little bit where it might need to blast this. It's okay. It's okay for now. It doesn't really matter. And when I say blast it, I mean like compressed air. So let's just go ahead and do this because I haven't done this today. Not that it matters. Oh, right. I'll finish. Well, I can do it as I play, I guess. I just imagine we're probably gonna have some story stuff like as soon as we get in here, and I don't want to gloss over that. But yeah, we're continuing from last time, Reiju of Gerudo Town, and we just basically did the puzzle thing, and then this freaking desert temple like rose out of the sand. And yeah, Reiju is now part of the party, basically. Anyway, 8BitDo, yeah, when they put handles on the SF30, basically, and, you know, called it the SN30 Pro Plus. And it had, like, some other changes as well. I don't remember offhand all of them right now, but it's, for a while, it was, like, my favorite controller. And, yeah, I got the G Classic design, which I've talked about in Stick Tips episode probably more than once. At least once, though. Lightning Temple. There we go. And, yeah, it was, it was great with a, pretty big asterisk. Did have some, like, caveats and, like, some firmware issues for a long time. And, this was kind of before they... Yeah, I know we're supposed to go in the front door, but I'm gonna climb this bitch. Oh, can Reiju not climb? Oh, I don't think she can climb. She'll wait right there, probably. It was before they came out with the 8BitDo Ultimate software, for, like, customizing a lot of their controllers and stuff. To set up things like macro, turbo, stick sensitivity, trigger sensitivity, like custom button assignments, just a bunch of things and how the controller actually communicates. And yeah, and then they came out with the Ultimate Soft. Whoa, that was weird. They came out with the Ultimate software, and then like SN30 Pro Plus was like, of course, configurable now in software. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. But yeah, the thing is, I mostly got it because, like, I really wanted... Because I had, like, a couple of different, like, Switch controllers. But that didn't matter because they were all wired. And, like, some of the games on the Switch I was starting to play, like, didn't really require it necessarily, but kind of like this game. It is a pretty significant difference. If you're playing with a controller that doesn't have motion control, or gyro as some people refer to it as. And I was like, man, I really want a controller that has gyro. And yeah, that's kind of why I went with the SF30 Pro Plus, or SN30 Pro Plus. Sorry, the SF was called that way because it was designed after the Super Famicom and had the different color buttons, as opposed to the SN30, which was designed after the Super Nintendo, where the buttons were basically kind of just purple. But that was like the biggest thing that people wanted was like the main thing that like 8BitDo didn't really start exploring yet was yeah, different I can't remember if they use this term, but I've seen this term around a lot. Different colorways, basically. And yeah, that came shortly after. Anyway, fast forward a little bit, they came out with the Pro 2 design, which was a lot like the SF30. But like they started doing things that people had been wanting for like a long time. Like they actually textured the plastic on the shell on the back. So like the grip was a little bit better. They added the biggest difference for me was they added programmable back buttons, like little tactile. And I was like, dude, I want that so bad, because like on the SN30 Pro Plus, one thing I didn't like about the controller, and kind of still don't, is even though it felt great, the stick clicks were actually like very stiff. So I always felt a little uneasy about like pressing down on the stick to activate like that L3 or R3 basically. And yeah, I was like, dude, I'll just program the back buttons to be L3 and R3, and then boom, I won't have to press in the sticks anymore. I can, because like for every controller I have, that's always been the thing I'm most careful about, is like try to be like gentle with the analog sticks, because you know they wear out, and once they do, it's like not easy to like fix. Essentially, like in order to do like a real fix, you have to actually get new potentiometers and like solder them into the controller, which requires like disassembly, like finding the right potentiometers, and then you know, hoping they hold up. And analog stick replacement things, they is like a specific service that you know, people would pay for and stuff, because like they're like, I don't have a soldering gun, I don't want to do this to my controller because potentially I could mess some things up like pretty bad, rendering the controller like useless. Or you know, because if you damage like the PCB or something, that's a whole nother problem, and then you have to like essentially either just get a new controller or like go through a service like PCBWay or something and like hope that, you know, it's a whole litany of problems. But yeah, the what was the point? I started talking. Oh, there's a treasure chest. Oh, it's just topaz. Yeah, the Pro 2 is great. And there are quite a few upgrades that I very much appreciate on this thing. And oh, about my controller being a little grungy, right? So yeah, typically, like, since I don't record, I record like Tears of the Kingdom like maybe once a week. It depends on, like, you know, how a recording session goes or whatever. But yeah, typically once a week. And like, this is the only time when I use this controller, because even though I do love it so much, and this is like, I'm using the transparent black version of the Pro 2, which is gorgeous, and it has like the analog stick caps, like the extra thumbstick grips that 8BitDo started including in some of their controllers like a while back. I think that was like a year ago or something when they started doing that. And they are like the best. Like, it's kind of a game changer. Like, their analog stick thumb grips are like the best ones I've used. I used to be a huge like advocate for like Grippets, which was like this company that was like, I don't know if it was like her whole company was doing that, but the brand, there we go. The brand was all about like these analog stick thumb caps, you know, that like they were kind of designed to be fit over like most generic thumbsticks, and like it worked for PlayStation, it worked for Xbox, like, and they just fit perfectly over like a bunch of the different controllers I would use. And I was like, damn, these things are fucking nice, and they were made out of quality materials. And like, when they start to like, the only problem is that I had with them was when they start to get grungy, and then like they don't really grip. But then you just clean them up, you know, give them a little brush and dry, and then they get their stickiness back. Like, well, not stickiness, but you know what I mean. The grippiness to it, like a silicone, like rubberized, I guess would be the term. And yeah, and they used to only have like the blue ones and the black ones on Amazon, and then like for a little while, unfortunately, I don't think they've had them in stock for a really long time on Amazon, but for a little while they had like the color packs. So like, I think it came with like 5 different color pairs. So it was like green and orange. They had like the clear ones, which I loved because I have a transparent plastic DualShock 4. And I was like, oh, these fit perfectly on those analog sticks. And it looks really good. And it feels really good. And I still have them on there. But again, it's one of those ones where I try to not use it very much, because again, like, it's, well, one, I have other solutions for most platforms, and it's like the only one that I have to use a DualShock 4 on is the PlayStation TV, or the Vita TV, as it was called in certain regions. Because on that platform you have to use a DualShock 3 or 4. And I really don't like the DualShock 3. And I'm down to one DualShock 4. So I just try to be careful with that controller, because like, if I want to play anything on that platform, I have to use that. So yeah, so it doesn't quite sit on a shelf, because like, you know, if you kind of just leave something on a shelf, it will like collect dust, and it's not the best. Like, some people prefer it because they can easily, like, display their controllers and whatnot. Which, like, cool. But I kind of, like, I have, like, a controller, like, cabinet. Which I kind of wish I had more of these. Like, my game cabinet for, like, most of my retro stuff has, like, a clear front to it. And that's fine, except it doesn't seal very well. I like that it's clear on the front, but, like, I mean, dust still gets in there. It's not as much. Ooh, diamond and ruby? Holy shit. But yeah, my controller cabinet is, like, has a better seal on it. So the controllers I don't use regularly, like, go in there. And I guess, like, for some of them, I guess I could, like, also put them in a bag or something. I'm not the most concerned with all that, but, you know. Rock salt. I mean, that's great, but... yeah, this is one of those things. But, yeah, just on the Switch, like, that, I guess, was the other main point of that, is, like, for like, I'm just gonna call them Pro 2 style controllers. Because they don't really, I mean, I guess they still sell, like, certain types of the SN30, but yeah, for 8-bit though, like, either SN30 style or Pro 2 style controllers, like, it's only the Bluetooth ones that have the motion control. So, because that's priority for me for certain games like this, okay, so it's that side. She should be waiting where I started climbing, probably. I feel like I checked the outside pretty well. Did find a few things, but... yeah, it's, I may need that for lightning storm shit. It's... yeah, it's like I said, it's like once a week when I use this one. So, sometimes I remember to, like, dust it off, give it, like, a little wipe down before I start using it. Sometimes I don't. Today I did not. But I did remember to get myself a cup of coffee before I started, so... ooh, cup of coffee. Ooh, piece of candy. Brian, next time we should just do this from the start, because this is the second time he's fallen for this. Okay, so we should be fine. We got 3 weapons. One hand. We have a legit 2-hand weapon. I don't want to use this unless, like... yeah, no. And we got 3 spare... yeah, so we should be fine. Like, the Zonite weapons are gonna break quickly, but we should have enough stuff. Riju, I'm coming for you. Where'd you go? Oh, fuck. Oh, where did she go? Uh-oh. Did she get bored and go home? Oh. You just fell out of the sky like fucking Spider-Man. Alright. Oh, we're supposed to shoot those, right? To open the thing. I mean, probably? Can I just shoot the main one? This is the front, right? Yeah, this is the front. Okay. Because initially, when I started talking about that, I was gonna say, you know, the thing. SN30. Going back. Oh, right, because I started with the whole, like, once upon a time. Right, and that was the point of it. Okay. Yeah. So once upon a time, I only had a wired controller for the Switch. And yeah. And then eventually, I think it was Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild was like one of the first games I got on the Switch. Which is funny because I had it on the Wii U before. And I traded in my Wii U copy to get the Switch copy, which in hindsight, I kind of wish I didn't do that, but it's fine. I actually kind of prefer it on the Switch. So yeah, never mind. I don't regret that at all. The oh yeah. So I wanted right. I didn't have a Pro controller. I wanted one because I knew it had like the NFC reader, which I didn't know if I wanted to start collecting amiibo or not. And like I think Smash Ultimate was already like confirmed or whatever. I didn't jump on the bandwagon for the Switch until like 2018, I think, 19 maybe. Like it was before. It was before Smash Ultimate, I know that. I think it was rumored. Yeah, I think it was confirmed after I already had my Switch. I believe so. Because at the time I was like, well, I have my Wii U, and the Switch doesn't have anything I want to play except for Breath of the Wild, and like I already have Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, so I'll wait and see what else they cook up, you know? But because like I knew, it's like, dude, it's selling like hotcakes. Like the Switch's first year in 2017, it was almost as bad as the PS5 in like 2020. Like you just could not get one at MSRP, like in a store, like for a while, depending on where you lived. But like I could not find one for at least like 6 months after release. So I just didn't. I was like, fuck it, I don't care. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen with the Switch 2. It's probably gonna happen. So don't expect me to get a Switch 2 day one. It's not gonna happen. I'll probably have to wait like 6 months or maybe a year. We'll see though. Like, fingers crossed. That'd be dope. Like, if Nintendo. Hey guys. Like, I don't know. On the off chance, you know, anybody that has any ties at Nintendo be like, hey, seem to be very thorough with like your hardware and stuff and blah blah blah. You wanna Switch 2 and talk about it and play it on the channel and feature it and shit? And I'll be like, fuck yeah, I do. You asking if you can send me a Switch 2? Yes, please. Anyway, Or if you want to help make it possible, channel membership is a great thing. You can always leave a super thanks on videos, but anyway. The other thing, on the off chance, not having hardware, or not having software. That's right. Right, because that first year, 6 months, I would say year, I don't think they had any software that was exclusive to the system that I wanted. Yeah, once I picked it up, I just got the cheapest controller. PDP, actually, that's what started my my love for the PDP face-off controllers. So eventually we had a good amount, 4 of those. And when you caught them on sale, they were a great deal. And I loved the PDP controllers for the Wii U and the Wii. Specifically the Wii U, though. I guess also the Wii. But anyway, they've been making, and they were officially licensed and everything. And so PDP has been making great controllers for Nintendo for a long time. But yeah, it's does it not go that far? Oh, it's still going. There we go. Are you shitting me? I forgot this was even an encounter right here. Anyway, to wrap up the story, sorry I've been telling the story for kind of hopping between points for half an hour now. So we'll just, kind of finish this, get to the next thing, and then wrap up the episode. But one of the things that was off-putting to me about the Switch Pro controller is it was $70. And at the time when the SN30 Pro Plus was the new one from 8BitDo, it was 40, 45 or something. And it's dude, it's almost half. And it has all the features except NFC. And by the time I decided that's what I wanted, I was I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be collecting Amiibo. Because again, there was an artificial scarcity thing going on, and people were scalping certain Amiibo figures and all this other shit, and the functionality was just kind of I don't really care. And after getting mine and really experimenting with it and stuff, and trying it out for multiple things, I was super freaking happy with it. I was dude, this thing is incredible. And I put it through its paces for a long time. But eventually it started having problems, even with the Ultimate software when they introduced that. And there were a few things that you could kind of tell the design was still kind of in an alpha state, I would say. The D-pad didn't quite feel right. Again, it was the G Classic version. So they were already trying something a little bit different, and I don't think it panned out as well. That is one of those controllers, if you want to display it, it's gorgeous. And it nails that original DMG Game Boy design. But functionally, they kind of in turn kind of screwed up the D-pad. And a few other things about the controller just did not feel great. But I loved it. And so when they unveiled the Pro 2, programmable back buttons, the textured grip on the back, like the switch on the back, like physical switch for swapping between the 4 different modes, because it has like X input, direct input, A, which I think A is just like the Apple, like the iOS Mac mode or whatever, and then S, because on the back it says SADX. So switch mode is what it's in now, obviously. And then, the Apple mode, basically direct input and X input. So it's and with like the thumbstick grips, and like the D-pad was like fixed from basically the SN30 Pro Plus, and button layout was like a tiny bit different. Like it was a little bit less like the original Super Nintendo ABXY and like more like the traditional Pro Controller ABXY. If you don't know what I mean, the spacing and the button sizing are a little bit different. And it's even different from some of the other Pro 2s. Like, here's a good example. Can't do a direct comparison right now. Just going off of feel. But Pro 2 for Xbox is a little bit different. I actually like those ABXYs a little bit better. And the Pro 2 wired controller is also more like that, which is to say also fairly similar to the SN30 Pro USB, which I've had a few of those as well, like solid budget controller. Especially if you want that more traditional Super Nintendo feel that doesn't have the handles on it. Like, the SN30 Pro USB, that's a banger of a controller, especially after the soft reset designs that they did. Initially, it had some real problems, but eventually when they came out with the gray design that was inspired by like the PlayStation color scheme and like format and everything, that was kind of the final revision, I believe. And eventually they did mostly fix the firmware, like, because they were on 1.04 for a very long time, and I even made a different stick tips video about that. Which, in case you guys are wondering, most of the stick tips videos are about 8BitDo stuff or Brook accessory stuff, or a combination of the two. Oh, and custom profiles. Oh my goodness, yeah, with the Ultimate Software thing, they finally leaned into that and added a profile switching button on the Pro 2, so you have 3 custom profiles that you can set up on Ultimate Software. It's freaking incredible. So like 3 profiles, 4 different modes of communication, USB-C as well, and like even though it has a battery, this is one of my favorite features. It has a battery compartment in the back. So it comes with like an 8BitDo like lithium ion battery pack. But if that thing fails, like, you can also just use AA's. It's super fucking convenient. And yeah, just the build quality and everything. Like nowadays, and like the Pro 2 has been, and it's weird because this one does feel a little different from some of the other Pro 2s. It's and like this is something like I'll probably make a stick tips episode about this eventually. There's one more Pro 2 that I want to look at, but I've been planning to do like Pro 2 what is it? What would it be called? A video about like basically all the Pro 2s and like a retrospective of the design philosophy over time. Which it would be a little incomplete because I have like actually given away some of those controllers. So like I don't have my old SN30 Pro USB anymore. I just have the one. I've had 3 over time. 2 of them I gave away, and yeah, I just kept the one. Which now I'm kind of wishing I had another one, but whatever. Probably pick up another one at some point. And actually, I'm kind of curious if, because I did see a new listing, the SN30 Pro USB, and I'm wondering if that one was also a quiet revision when they rolled out the 1.05 firmware. I kind of doubt it, because usually there's at least different like colors for the controllers when they do a quiet revision, and you can tell if like you open the controller, like do a little bit of a teardown. I don't even like the term teardown very much. I usually refer to it as like a disassembly. But yeah, if you get down to the PCB, basically take the shell off, they always have like the revision, like model number printed on the PCB. So like, and I've pointed that out on Stick Tips episodes as well before, but how just like a couple of my oh yeah, that did make it into that one episode where I was pointing that out back when I had 2 SN30 Pros USBs, the wired ones. And they were different model numbers, like the different revisions printed on the PCB. Yeah. But yeah, their other designs are cool too. But I've always been kind of a PlayStation guy. Like the PS1 was like the first system I started like gaming on like a lot. Well, actually, that's not true. Sega Genesis was the first one I started playing on a lot. But when I started to get more analytical and like start seeing the potential in like what the next generations would bring, because the 16-bit generation was like incredible, but it was kind of the height of that kind of like hardware configuration, I guess is a way to put it. Like sprite-based stuff, like cartridge games, basically what I guess what people would call nowadays like retro pads. Yeah, retro pads. That's an official term I've seen, actually. Yeah, retro pads. So essentially a D-pad and some buttons. The time before analog sticks, basically. But yeah, when PS1 came out, and they were like, no, we're doing fully 3D stuff, and then eventually they came out with the DualShock controller. Well, before that, the dual analog, and then the DualShock. And they're like, here you go, this is the future. And they weren't lying. Like, they kept redesigning the DualShock. Even now with the DualSense, it's a DualShock version 5, basically. And yeah, I love 8BitDo for that reason, because they took the original like PlayStation controller design, which like I think the very first one was literally a Super Nintendo controller that just had PlayStation on it. And it had like the Super Famicom design, but it was like very, very slightly different. But when Sony came out with their first PS1 controller, yeah, it was like, okay, we have to make some changes, but we do like the stuff, you know, the concepts here. And the thing that they standardized, having 4 shoulder buttons. So glad they cemented that as a thing, because like, but yeah, essentially that exact same design philosophy of like, no, Super Nintendo is fantastic. Like ergonomics, the feel of certain things, like those shoulder buttons, L and R, almost perfect. The D-pad, almost perfect. The ABXY, the start select. But like make it modern, you know? and try to not make it worse, you know? Just keep building on that design philosophy. And nowadays, I would say it's like pretty much perfect. Like, it is my favorite controller design, period. The Pro 2 is the shit. So anyway, but yeah, I know this is a bit more ranty, my bad. But we explored the outside of the temple, we're gonna get this fight done, and then we'll wrap up the episode. But yeah, and that'll be a future Stick Tips episode, just like Pro 2 Legacy? I'm not sure what to call it yet. Like, retrospective doesn't fit because they're still modernizing. Like, I feel like Legacy is a little bit better. Or like Evolution. Oh, make it an Armored Core Nexus reference? Like Evolution, Revolution. Ooh. Okay. There's some ideas there. I mean, I'm gonna have to write some of the stuff down after the episode. But yeah, let's fucking do this. Can I just... Yeah, it's not too hot right now. Okay. I want to just be able to deal, like, a bunch of damage. Huh? How am I too cold? Alright, fine. Oh. Oh, I thought you were down. There we go. So I guess when it loses its color and goes all pale, then hit it with lightning? Can't remember what its gimmick is, but... something like that? I don't know. Fled up towards the roof. Maybe there's some way to go up after it inside the structure? It's not on the roof. Don't think so. Like, we can't skip that. You can't just go to the roof. Because yeah. Yeah, because I remember fighting that thing. I didn't remember the first part was here. It's still inside. We can't just climb back up there. Come on, Link. Let's look for a way in. I mean, isn't it the same thing again? We just shoot the thing? The goo? Right? I mean, that's basically a front door right there. Fucking serious? Give dose. Alright. Assholes. No, I could use this. It's fine. Riju, right here. What are you doing? So long, old friend. I had that spear for a long time. I guess I do still have fire weapon. I mean, I wouldn't use this in the same way. Kinda want to make a different one. Preferably not a Zonite one. I don't really have anything else that... And I don't want to waste a silver Lionel lightsaber or like... I was like, well, I could destroy this. I don't want to do that. For obvious reasons. Although... It's 55. How much is... 30? It's elemental. So, I mean, it's like comparable. Actually, I'm kind of curious how... Yeah, because if I'm going for damage and stuff, like... I'm going to do a one-handed weapon or a spear. So let's go ahead and destroy this one. Because I'm also curious how this will look. Oh, it made it, like, short. Really short. Huh. What? And that doesn't lower the durability. It basically turns that shit into a flamethrower? Oh, that's cool. And as long as I don't hit anything with it, it doesn't lower the durability. Which, I mean, it's a pretty short weapon, but the flames go up pretty far. So that doesn't seem like an issue. Oh, that's tight. I was this many years old when I found out that was a thing. Huh. Besides, I think I can go fight more finals, get more stuff for that. Oops. Speaking of not accidentally hitting things, I would rather not hit things with this. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just a regular wooden stick. Alright, well, I need to get going, guys. It's about that time again. I mean, I guess we'll be fine. How many... Oh, right. And we got 16 of these bitches, so... It's only 24, but that's not bad. Again, I don't think we're gonna run out of weapons. I mean, I could take one of these just because, you know, got room for it. It's not gonna close, right? Yeah, it's not. Cool. Alright, folks, well... And I think the temperature is gonna be, like, pretty normal in here. Yeah, we still got plenty of food. Oh. Right, the other point to the end of that, seeing the Pro controller just reminded me. It's like, hey, that doesn't look like my controller. I mean, kinda. It's got 2 analog sticks and a D-pad and 4 face buttons. Just a generic description of, like, any old controller. Yeah. So, yeah. The SN30 Pro Plus was very good. Especially for the time. Pro 2 is an improvement in, like, every freaking way. And, yeah, I never felt the need to finally pick up a Switch Pro controller. Because, like, nope. I'd rather save, like, 20 bucks and get something that's better, in my opinion. That isn't just limited to the Switch, like I said. It has 4 different modes. So it can work on a bunch of different devices. But, I think that was... the main point I wanted to end on. Talking about the Pro 2s and stuff. I think so. Is there a different point I was, like, also going for? Oh. Oh. Right. Partially because of that design iteration and stuff. That's part of the reason. Well, one, because, like, I'm gonna, you know, I like having options for different platforms on controllers and stuff. Two, I really respect that about 8BitDo. And, oh, being careful with the analog sticks, right? And, like, yeah. The stick, the grip, analog grip pads? What do they call those? What did I call them before? Analog stick grip covers? Grip pad covers. Whatever. The caps. It's a cap. Yeah, essentially, it's a grip cap. That's just kind of doesn't roll off the tongue very well. That's essentially what it is, though. It's an analog stick grip cap. I'm not sure what you would call them. I mean, they look great, they feel great, and it makes it easier because it does increase. It increases the level of control that you have, so it's a lot easier to do very minute like changes and like camera shifting and stuff like that. It makes it a lot easier to be careful with the analog sticks as well, because like they are potentiometers in there. Like eventually with use and stuff, they wear down, you start getting drift, and you know, depending on the type, for some it'll happen faster than others. It's just kind of an inevitability. And for like most controllers, they use Alps potentiometers. Like for a long time, like I call them Alps. It's ALPS basically. There's also, I forget the full name. King Silvers, I think is what they're called. I think that's like it might be the shorthand form or something. King Silvers are better than Alps, 100%. And 8BitDo has used them in a couple of their controllers, including one of the ones that they kind of seem to have forgotten about. It's kind of a shame in my opinion. But the Ultimate, which sucks because it was part of their Ultimate line, because they did the Ultimate controller, the Ultimate Bluetooth or whatever. It was like this fancy controller that could do all these different things, and it was impressive, and lots of people were like, this controller is so badass. They have the wired version of that, which 8BitDo apparently forgot about. But yeah, it had King Silver analog sticks when it came out. And it was cheaper. I found it on sale even, and I was like, dude, wired is better in my opinion. Like, yeah, sign me the F up, and it has better analog sticks. Yeah. But they've more recently done like even more incredible stuff. By one, like mine's the transparent black, like I mentioned before, but they have new transparent shells. Like they have a blue one and a green one that are both gorgeous. And the newer Pro 2s have Hall effect sticks. So literally drift proof. So like I try to be careful with this one. But like at this point, like if this controller, I'm not even gonna say if, but like when this controller finally takes a shit and like the analog sticks become unusable basically, yeah, I'll just get one of the Pro 2s that has Hall effect sticks, like the Bluetooth ones, because I'm betting, you know, the Switch 2 is probably also going to have a lot of software that's going to utilize motion control, like quite a bit. So, but because they keep doing things like that, and they keep like trying to improve and like revising and reiterating, that's like they just keep getting better. And that's part of the reason it's like so good in my opinion, because they already started at something so good, and they just, yeah, keep improving, man. And yeah, whereas like for most consoles and stuff, if you go first party for the controller, like yeah, they do quiet revisions and stuff. Like for the PS5, like the DualSenses now are not the same as like the DualSenses when the PS5 first launched. It's the same design and everything, but they don't really market as like, oh, this is the DualSense 2.0 or like the 2.1 or the 3.0. No, essentially they are. But there's like some core things where they don't really change it. Like the design itself is still, you know, pretty much the same across like the whole thing. And it's like they don't really seem to care. Like Sony, Xbox, and like Xbox is better about it, but Nintendo and Sony especially, they don't seem to care as much about like improving their designs in the same console generation. Because like yeah, there's the DualSense Edge, which is like, oh, there's this new controller. If you want to do a premium, like this is like, but I think they only did that because Xbox players were like, well, Microsoft has the Elite controllers. Why don't we have something cool like that? You know, it's like, but then you're raising the price because it's like you're adding stuff and doing things and blah, blah, blah. Instead of like fixing and improving some of like the core things that could be better. Because like, yeah, 8BitDo doesn't do that. Like the Pro 2 Bluetooth, like when they started doing the transparent shells and stuff, is so much more advanced than the SN30 Pro Plus. But they didn't raise the price. So, good on them. I highly appreciate it. And, yeah. Like, when people ask me, especially friends and stuff, I've talked to some of them about like, oh, hey, I was looking at controllers and blah, blah, blah. I need a new controller for this platform. Like, most of the time I can just say, yeah, get the 8BitDo, blah, 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 whatever fits for them. And generally, most of the time, especially like one friend I can think of, which, you know, I'm not gonna specify who. Don't want to razz them or anything like that. But recently they were like, hey dude, that 8BitDo controller you recommended me, it freaking rocks. And that person got it on sale as well, and I was like, yeah, isn't that cool? You didn't even pay $40 for that controller, and it feels better than some controllers that cost twice as much. Like, that's why I keep coming back to 8BitDo. They keep getting better, and they don't, you know, they're like competitive, you know? But anyway, that's gonna do it for now. Thank you all for being here, guys. I know that went on longer than I said like half an hour ago when I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wrap up this thing and talk about the blah, blah, blah. There were quite a few different talking points I wanted to talk about, and especially on that, yeah, the evolution of the Pro 2, basically. Because it's a thing that means a lot to me, and I know some people, like, there's this long debate between like gamers and stuff, and like especially like it kind of started between like Xbox and PlayStation gamers, and they're like, dude, the parallel sticks just feels wrong to me. Asymmetrical is so much more ergonomic. Xbox controller just feels better. Whatever, what have you. Personally, I'm a person, like, when I'm playing on controller, which generally there we go. Sorry about that. It's the last main point I want to say. I prefer basically I prefer parallel. I think that's the term people are using now. Parallel sticks, basically PlayStation style analog sticks, where they are kind of in the middle of the controller and they are symmetrical. As I think that's a better name for it, because like for other controllers, like some of them are referred to as asymmetrical sticks, which like third parties have made officially licensed PlayStation controllers that were asymmetrical, kind of like Xbox. Actually, Hori and Nacon both made one for the PS4. And I tried both of them, actually. I didn't like either of them. But I like the parallel sticks because to me, it works better in my brain for some reason when I'm using my left and right hand to work in tandem, to have the inputs on both sides of the controller to be essentially mirrors of each other. So like, because the D-pad is essentially 4 inputs, which can be used in conjunction for a total of 8 inputs. And essentially that's the same thing. Like same as like the Joy-Con, like the dual Joy-Con approach. Like the ABXY are 4 inputs. But you can also do like pairs of inputs, essentially. Which, I mean, there's a lot more combinations because it's not limited to just like the adjacent buttons. You can do like opposite buttons, you know, 3 at a time even. You can do like, you know, more input combination potential than you can with a D-pad. But even the start and select are like little mirrors of each other. They're perfectly symmetrical on the original, like on the Pro 2, but also that's derived from Super Nintendo. So the L1, L2, R1, R2, the shoulder buttons, are symmetrical. Like, the only thing that doesn't feel symmetrical, like, as far as feel goes, is like, yeah, there's a D-pad, which feels different from an ABXY. But if you think about it, it's essentially the same thing. It just, the feel is a little bit different. But as far as like the symmetry of inputs goes, it's symmetrical. So, and there's something in my brain that really likes that, and it makes sense. Like, I don't have to think about where inputs are, because my brain knows the layout, and the muscle memory knows the layout, and it knows it's the same, basically, on the left hand and the right hand. And I guess partially because I've been, you know, I mean, I guess part of it is because, like, I started on very retro platforms. My left hand just knows, like, the thumb, that's the D-pad. like on ABXY, I don't even, like, I use the thumb a lot for ABXY, especially for a lot of modern stuff, but I was always also like an over the hand, kind of like using the middle finger and the index to like do little, how do I do this without fucking anything up? A and B, right? Like that kind of stuff. And I like having, it's kind of hard with this one. Like, and again, if you're one of those players where you rest the controller down and then kind of like are mostly using the D-pad and the ABXY, like, yeah. But in this one, the ABXY are a little less snappy than they are in some of the other Pro 2 designs, but whatever. Again, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of each one of those things right now because I've already been talking about it for a while. But yeah. Yeah, I will have a deep dive stick tips episode at some point in the future, probably for a while, because again, there's one more Pro 2 that I don't have yet, and I need to give that one a chance for a while before I can say definitively I've put a lot of time into all my Pro 2s. And like, the SN30 Pro Plus is not exactly a Pro 2, but it was like the first non-Pro 2, I guess. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for being here, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Of course, before we get going, a very special thank you going out to the current Farts and Crap Show members, the amazing people who help make it possible, Novellis, Draconis, and Aaron Schick. Thank you so much for choosing to support the show a bit more directly via channel membership, even when I just talk about controllers for like a solid hour. Membership tiers start at $3 a month. It's only 10 cents a day. It gets you into all the basic stuff, including getting to vote on the series that get made here on the channel via the Members' Choice polls. And, yeah, good news. If you guys are watching this around the time this video comes out, there actually is a Members' Choice poll going on right now for December 2024. If it's January, you're too late. But it's the final week of December. which is the 24th to the 31st. And yeah, it's running right up until the end of the month, which is also the end of the year. And that is going to be selecting a new retro classic series. It's not going to be one. It's not going to be the one that directly follows Xenogears. It'll be after that series, because after Xenogears is going to be Armored Core 1. I've already done a series for that game before. So I know it's going to be like less than 15 episodes, probably like 12 episodes, maybe 13 or 14, but somewhere between 10 and 15, more than likely. So yeah, that's like with Retro Classics episodes coming out every day, like a week and a half. So yeah, typically when I know a series coming up is going to be really short, we do another Members' Choice poll kind of preemptively. So we keep the once a month poll thing going. And probably in January. Yeah, January we'll do the Members' Choice poll for the series that's going to follow this one. Tears of the Kingdom still has a bunch more episodes, but still, for me, it's nice to know what's coming ahead of time in the schedule so I can kind of know which recordings I need to work on and everything, but yeah. And yeah, that's happening over on the membership tab. And yeah, it's open to channel members of any tier. So yeah, even just the basic one at $3 a month will get you into all that stuff. And we also do co-op stuff during streams more often now. I've been making a point of doing that with the channel members. So if you guys want to get in on some of those, just stop by for a stream sometime, Sunday, Tuesday, or Thursday, typically. And then, yeah, most recently we've been going through Dark Souls 3, but that is almost done. And yeah, gonna be starting some newer stuff pretty soon. But I'm definitely not done with Armored Core, because I'm going through the whole 3rd gen. But that's just kind of, it's a single player retro thing. It's just something I wanted to do. But anywho, yeah, I think that about covers it on that. Oh, this is an approximation, however, of future announcements from the past, obviously. So if you guys want all the announcements as they happen and the bell doesn't work for you, because if you get your announcements this way by just checking the end of the videos, those announcements might be like a week out of date. Typically are going to be about a week out of date. So yeah, if you want the announcements as they happen, there's 4 ways you can do that. There's the community tab here on the channel, the Farts and Crap Show Twitter, the Bluesky, or the Discord. I always post on all 4 whenever there's an announcement, so regardless of which one of those works for you, you can stay up to date. And links for those are down in the description, also on the channel banner, but that is going to do it for this episode. So thank you all once again for being here, guys. Till next time, take care, and I hope you all have a glorious day. Oh, and if you have any other questions about Pro 2 stuff, feel free to leave that in the comments in lieu of that upcoming Stick Tips episode, where we'll have the big discussion, the big, like, details, nitty-gritty, all that good stuff. But yeah, till next time, take care.